Morning guys, Mark here from Knox Armour. We are here on the BMW stand here at EICMA 2019, and I've been lucky enough to get my hands on Max Renko. He is the product development manager for BMW.
Yeah.
Have I got that right, Max?
Yeah, product manager, so more a marketing guy, but still look into engineering stuff as well.
Yeah, well, I got that impression when we had a conversation the other day. You know your stuff. I'm a previous owner of this bike, and I absolutely loved kind of what this bike could do. I've always looked for a kind of Swiss Army knife of a bike. It kind of just ticks so many different boxes. So I was really interested to see this new variant. And I've got to say the styling is superb. It looks fantastic. And I just thought, while we had the opportunity, you could kind of walk us through the changes that have been seen with this new bike.
Yeah, it depends on how much time you get, because there's so many, there are a lot of changes in the bike, but
sure.
You might not see them at first glance, but it's really the aggregation of marginal gains here that makes the whole package so compelling.
Yes.
With the old generation, we had a huge sales success. I think it was by far the best-selling adventure sports bike, both worldwide and also in the UK.
Wow.
Especially
I didn't know that.
UK used to be a superb superbike market.
Yes.
A lot of former superbike riders coming into the adventure segment that couldn't be addressed with a current Boxer offering or two-cylinder bikes. If you're a four-cylinder guy, you'll always be a four-cylinder guy, and this is the bike for you.
Well, I guess the kind of opener for that, the key for that was introducing the S1000XR, right? Because
so that was a huge step forward for us as a brand. 10 years ago, nobody would have guessed that BMW might, produce sports bikes,
and what a bike,
It really introduced the digital age for bikes. Traction controls, riding modes, digital suspensions, everything.
Yeah.
That was a huge step forward for the motorcycle industry as well, because until then you had the Japanese bikes, improving bikes by adding 2 horsepower each year, but it was always the same analog bike.
Yes.
So of course you find a lot of technology in this bike as well. It's always derived from the double R.
Yeah.
I think one of the main improvements over the old bike was just this wider range in between sportiness and long distance performance. So the old bike was very good at offering sporty performance in an upright seating position, just a GS seating position. The double R hard.
Yes.
However, due to technology constraints back in the days, for example the valving technology in our dynamic ease suspension, we were unfortunately in some ways a bit limited when it came to offering some more compliance over small bumps and touring comfort. So the old bike was very good at the sporty side, but we were very limited in terms of technology when it came to offering more comfort when you needed it. So we always want to hoon the crap of our bikes on B roads, but at some point you always gotta cover some distance. And then the old bike wasn't as good as the new bike is when it came to small bumps on the highway or potholes.
Just being able to soak up that energy.
This is not, it's still a sporty bike. It's not like having a magic carpet ride.
No.
But you will instantly feel, because you know the old bike, you will feel how better it rides over bad roads. And this nets for a much higher traction on the bike. Speaking of traction, we do have the same traction control as Tom Sykes has in his bike.
Wow.
So double R, XR, and also Tom Sykes share the same technology.
This World Superbike. Effectively, it's got the same electronics.
We were testing the prototypes when we were developing the double R. And we had our race guys test the bike, and they wanted to have the technology in their prototype racing bikes.
Wow.
So it's a huge step forward, but on paper it's always, you used to have DTC traction control, now you have DTC traction control, there's no difference. But in reality there's a huge difference. We now have, for example, an inertia measuring unit with a 6th axis. So we can really
like
precisely detect wheelies. So now we have a new wheelie function, power wheelie, which allows for a high wheelie.
Aaron, are you listening to this? Aaron does like a wheelie.
You also have, for example, Riding Modes Pro as standard. So
that includes,
with this bike, analog to the double R, we can configure Dynamic Pro mode now in 5 dimensions, not only 3 like ABS, traction and engine mapping, but you can set up for your engine braking separately, or you can set up your wheelie function separately from the traction control.
Which is the technology that was introduced in the new double R.
Exactly. But it's a bit modified for the street, because as a street rider you do not want to get in the finest details of like small electronic clicks on the dynamic ease suspension. So we, for example, have dynamic easer, which in a standard mode offers only one mode, but as I said, with a wider range where it can adapt to.
Okay. And it does that automatically, does it?
Yeah, that's the point of semi-active suspension. So
Wow.
it reacts to the way you ride,
Yeah.
and it just adapts to the proper damping rate.
There is a risk, isn't there, if you introduce too many electronic aids, that it can create a barrier between the interface between the
Let's
rider
take
and
the
the bike.
traction control as an example. You don't want to have a traction control that takes away all the power. But you want to have a traction control that saves your ass
Yes.
from
Yeah,
crashing,
completely.
you know?
Yeah. I get
So
it.
it will allow in some settings. It will allow for a small slide and everything.
Yeah.
But it would just keep everything
Yeah.
safe, so you don't end
But
up
there is
in the
that. It's an
hospital.
invisible net, and it's there just at the right
Exactly.
moment, not to. Yeah.
It's not designed as a track bike,
No, of course not.
but it's designed as the most versatile bike.
Yes.
So we've seen a lot of people doing track days with it.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't race it in series, of course.
No.
But they do a lot of track
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
But it's like the most versatile bike in our lineups.
It does all of it, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. I mean, of course, you have to accept that. It's a bigger bike, it's a heavier bike, it's compromised if you ride it at the track. Of course it is. If you want to do that, then you buy a double R, don't you?
Well, it's
but
not.
it's still very
I feel a bit
capable.
offended saying it's heavy because we were
Heavier than a double R. Is that
we're heavier than a double
double
R,
R?
but
Yeah.
the double R on the other side is almost the lightest bike in the segment as well. So we have a lot of benefits taken over from the double R.
Yes.
So the whole weight-saving philosophy that came on
Yeah.
with the new generation of the double R is also found in the XR.
I'm really curious about that. I'd like you to tell us about kind of the philosophy around that weight reduction and how that affects the bike and its performance and its feel, because it's a lot of weight, isn't it? We're not talking about a kilo or two. We're talking like 10 kilos ish.
Yeah. So if you're just bench racing with spec sheets, it only reads 2 kilograms lighter. But
Right.
that's half the truth, because
Yeah.
we put so much in the standard bike. For example, dynamic easer suspension comes
Yes.
standard on the bike,
Yes.
which adds a couple of kilos.
Yes.
You got the pannier holders integrated in the bike that used to add a couple of kilos with the old bike. So once you really compare standard customer specs, so
Correct.
with the touring package and the dynamic package,
Yeah.
this bike really is 10 kilograms lighter.
Right.
So you can't compare the homologation
No.
weight. You really have to look into how the bikes are usually configured.
Yeah.
And a normal spec with all the options
Yeah.
packages, it's true 10 kilograms lighter.
Yeah. The average weight of a customer bike is
Exactly.
X, and this is 10 kilos less than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we see not only BMW bikes, but the industry in general, bikes are getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Just look into full-size adventure bikes. They they are now getting towards a weight of 280 in full trim. I mean, that's not funny, man. That's horrible. So
It's
this
nearly a
bike,
third of a ton.
in full spec with the touring package and the luggage racks and the main stand, all the heavy stuff on
Yeah.
it, is with full tank of gas, like completely
Brimmed.
full.
Yeah.
233 kilograms.
Yeah. I mean,
And from there on, you can add in, for example, our M lightweight battery and our M carbon package,
yeah.
which reduces the weight by a further 4 kilograms.
Oh,
So
really?
in the reality, it will be down to 228 point something.
Right.
And this is really,
Which for a bike of this stature is.
you got 2-up touring performance, you
Yeah.
got all the weather protection,
Yeah.
you got all the bling that
Yeah.
you need on longer distances.
And all the performance you
at the
get.
weights of some roadsters, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Yeah.
think that the new ZH2 is 238 kilograms for a
240,
naked bike.
give or take, yeah.
I mean,
And that's a naked, right? Yeah.
So that's the point. It has a lot of horsepower, but I thought it's more important to reduce the weight, because the horsepower in it, it would be easy to just put
Yeah.
in a double R engine, have
Yeah.
207 horsepower
Yeah.
on tap, and let's call it a day.
Yeah.
But for a bike of this segment, it doesn't have any benefits in terms of deceleration, braking performance,
Sure.
agility.
Yeah.
By improving the power to weight ratio, we are actually faster in a straight line
Yeah.
from 0 to 200 kilometers per hour. And also top speed was increased because we're now more aerodynamic.
Right.
And all that without increasing the horsepower output.
So how fast does it go?
In Germany or in a private road in Mexico?
Well, let's just say we were testing it on a private road. How fast would it do?
It's 5 kilometers faster,
Right.
255 now.
Right. Okay.
And our tacks are pretty precise when it comes to
Yes.
speed or speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there were at first some people who were online, especially, people who haven't experienced the bike as
Yeah.
I could. They were like, oh, why it's the same power output? It's not about the top peak output, it's more about the rideability and the way the power comes on. So we don't have the shift cam in that engine
No.
on purpose, because The double R is very good at combining that low-end grunt that the XR has always had with
Yes.
the top-end power of the old generation of the double R.
Yes.
Because it's a bike that's used on the street and on the racetrack.
Right.
So this is a bike you can use on the track day, but it's not made for the racetrack. You don't need a 15,000 RPM ride line on that bike.
No.
I mean, that's even first gear, that's 140 kilometers in a straight line at 15,000 RPM. So that's not something you need on an XR.
No.
So once you say, okay, you only need a ride line of 12,000 and you try to optimize the engine and the way it rides for an RPM range between 4 and 9,000 RPMs, then you don't need a shift cam. The shift cam only shifts at 9,000 RPM.
Right.
So people spend most time underneath
that kind of sweet
9,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
And so in our estimation, it was better to ditch the shift cam system.
In terms of fuel efficiency, that's improved, or it's very similar to
Yeah, we saved half a liter over 100 kilometers.
And this is a 20, how many liters?
It's a 20-liter tank, so it's the same size as the old one, but we reduced fuel consumption by almost 10%.
Right.
Also thanks to a new gearbox. As I said before, we want to improve also on the long distance performance and comfort side.
Yeah.
So the gearbox in 4th, 5th and 6th gear are longer.
Okay.
It's 2, 4 and 8%.
Right.
So it drops that steady highway cruising
Yeah.
RPMs where people might sometimes have been looking for a 7th or 8th gear. It shouldn't just stress you out like a superbike. So for example, we also revised the total system of handlebar decoupling.
Yeah.
The old bike had a different technology. Now we have rubber bushings in the bridge. That's completely different, but it's very good at, I can show it if you like.
Sure.
It's very good at just twisting back and forth and side to side.
You can see it kind of flex.
You can, if you look here on the bridge.
And that's like a sort of damping, is it?
Yeah, so it totally isolates the handlebars and the mirrors. So if you look at back and forth.
Oh wow, yeah.
And side to side.
And
however, it does not, affect steering position. If it twists the handlebar, it does not twist.
It doesn't over rotate. Yeah. And how does that affect the riding experience? It's just more comfortable.
Yeah, well, it's just handlebar buzz was an issue with some customers.
Yeah.
I have to say it wasn't an issue for me so much, but different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
But we needed to address that issue for the next generation.
Yeah.
That was something I wanted to do.
And you've done some mileage on this bike yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What sort of level of mileage does the bike do in testing? It's hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for the exhaust alone, you gotta do a 50,000 kilometer test.
Just for the exhaust.
Just to get the aging of the catalytic converter.
Yeah.
To see whether it will still hold up in terms of emissions after 50,000.
Yeah.
But there are at several steps in the development process. You get to test the bikes over longer distances, and not only one bike but a couple of bikes.
Yeah.
So I'm also very happy that there weren't any spy shots out there.
Yeah.
Because there were so many people, asking for a new bike. When is the new one coming out? And the hype here has been amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's not surprising because it does look absolutely sensational. This design language for me is just really, really interesting.
I'm really glad that we were able to, get all the precise lines on the bike. The typical XR fly line. And they now have a unique profile that you also find on the smaller F900XR with a side floating panel.
Yeah.
So it's really bears a family resemblance.
Yeah.
So the base model has dynamic ESA suspension,
Yes.
the electronic suspension, TFT with connectivity, riding modes pro, full LED lights, pannier holders, everything comes standard.
And that's
the minimum trim that you have.
Yeah.
So it's already a very comprehensive package. However, you can go from there, of course, because we're BMW and have very much technology as we offer as an option.
Absolutely.
For example, the Dynamic ESA Pro option adds a second riding mode for the suspension. So, as I said before, the standard Dynamic ESA has a much wider range in between. Where it can handle sportiness and long distance performance and touring comfort.
Sure.
But with the Dynamic ESA Pro, you get a second dynamic mode, and the range of the valves is even wider.
Right.
So it's the maximum possible function.
Yeah.
And you get the automatic self-leveling function. So
no
matter whether you're one or two people, it will always automatically adjust to the proper ride height.
Yeah.
And you get the option of having a min setting. So for example, you can lower it down when standing. So when your lady gets on, you have a safer standing position.
Okay. And then it will come back up to a standard position. Wow.
Well, if you have to adjust to get from min setting to auto setting, then we'll adjust to the load. Another option is the Headlight Pro option.
Yeah.
So the standard bike only has our top-notch low beam and high beam LED lights.
Right.
With the Headlight Pro, you get the iconic daylight running strips
Yeah.
and the adaptive cornering lights. Another thing that the old one didn't have was keyless ride, for example.
No.
A lot of people were asking for that.
Yeah.
Now we finally have it.
Yeah.
RDC, so tire pressure monitoring system, we also have it now.
Wow.
So it also shown in the display, you know, how much pressure you actually have in your tires.
Well, having the TFT gives you a
Yeah.
raft of additional.
I mean, our app is now probably the most comprehensive app in the market from OEMs. So it really gets full aero guided navigation
Right.
with multiple waypoint planning.
Okay.
You can now import routes. You can now choose curvy routes, fastest route or
So
shortest route.
You can decide what type of roads you
Exactly.
Get to, right, it's
And
super clever,
there's
especially
something
for a biker.
something I can give away in the middle of November. We'll have a new version of the app that now also adds performance statistics.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can see,
That's
it
dangerous.
records your. No, you can also delete the maximum speed or something like that.
Yeah.
But it records your throttle input. So really, you can see how much revs you were going, the speed and the throttle,
wow.
and you will see how rarely you actually use full power because the bike is so ballistic.
Yeah.
And then you also see, you can relive, we had your favorite B road, how much lean angle you were actually riding in that moment.
Oh, this is what I mean by dangerous. Yeah, very embarrassing for some of us. We're never going to go
No.
riding together, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's really, it gives
I'm good
nice
on the
insights.
That's amazing. So, I mean, it is feature packed, and it's still got heated grips and it's still got cruise control because those are my favourite toys.
Yeah,
So thanks again, Max. Really,
it was a real
appreciate
pleasure. Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
by.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a really great bike. If you like it, comment in the section, subscribe. Thanks for coming by. It was a real cool feature to have you here.
Not at all.
Thank you very
Thank you. See you soon. Thanks, guys.